Here's last Sunday's message in 2 minutes-ish. So last Sunday we hit, we're in the 8th part of our Roman series. We're in the 7th part of our Roman series. We're in chapter 7, and it's the last half of chapter 7. It's where Paul kind of has this weird moment where he's like, I don't do the things I want to do, and I do things that I don't want to do. And when I do those things, and then I agree that the law is right because I'm not doing what I want to do, but I can't seem to do things I want to do. And so Paul is having sort of this like confusion time. And what's happening is Paul has gone through all these things and said, you know what? I have gotten saved. I've realized that my righteousness comes from Jesus. I know that I'm dead to sin. I know that I'm alive to Christ. And yet, as a believer, I'm still struggling with sin. And that's what this last half of chapter 7 is about, is Paul saying, I'm a believer, but I'm still struggling with sin. What is going on? And finally, at the end of it, Paul comes to a realization. The realization that Paul comes to is that there is indwelling sin in his flesh, in his mortal body. So what Paul does is he kind of breaks himself down into two parts, the inward man and the outward man. Now, later in Thessalonians, Paul shows us that we're actually three parts where we are spirit, soul, and body, and we've talked about that in the past. But here, Paul just kind of talks about two things, like there's the inward man and the outward man. It's not a contradiction. He's just combining spirit and soul together. And what he's saying is, what I have found is that my inward man is perfect. Jesus really did make me righteous. When I put my faith in him, I really am righteous in Christ. But yet there is sin in my body because my body is still connected to this world, and I need Jesus to deliver me from this body of death. So we'll eventually come to the place where Paul deals with that. But in chapter 7, what he does, and what's important for believers to understand, is that when we sin, and I'm not making an excuse for it, and I'm not saying we didn't do it. What I'm saying is when we sin, we need to recognize that that's not really who we are. That's not a part of us. That's just our body. Our inward man is connected to God, and it is still perfect. We don't lose our righteousness. We don't lose our standing before God. We don't lose our salvation. We remain in him. Our body, which is corruptible, which will one day be destroyed and will be given a new body without the corruption when we're in heaven, in our body, there is still sin. It's connected to the world. Chapter 8 is going to give us hope and some instruction on how to deal with that. But right now in chapter 7, it's just important to recognize that there is a difference between our body and who we really are, that they are separate. Because when we can understand that, then the instructions of how to deal with it in chapter 8 will make sense. Well, that's it. Bye.